Hello, I'm here today to talk to you about something very important, The Terminator, as in Terminator 1. Now, this movie might have come out in 1984, but I just saw it like 2 days ago, so it's breaking news to me. I know I'm late to the game. Growing up, Terminator 2 was on TV every 35 seconds. Everybody saw it. Great movie. But I thought, where's Terminator 1? Did it exist? Did they just jump straight to Terminator 2? Maybe. Maybe there's some movies out there that are so great they just start with the sequel. Kind of like Star Wars, where they retroactively acted like they were sequels in reality. In reality, A New Hope was the first one. Let's not delude ourselves here, George Lucas. But The Terminator, I watched it. Now, am I going to be good at reviewing this movie? Probably not. Full disclosure, it took us 2 days to watch it because we're old and tired. Also, during the second part, I was assembling an IKEA desk and also fighting off a pig who was trying to stand on said desk while it was upside down. So, not the ideal movie viewing experience. Still, I got the gist of it. The things I learned from this movie. Number one, it's a miracle that anybody from the 80s survived. Seriously, this Terminator comes back in time to try to kill Sarah Connor. He just looks everybody up in their phone book, and he doesn't know which Sarah Connor it is, so he works his way down, killing every single Sarah Connor. This isn't really a sci-fi story. This is just a parable about what could happen when you put all of your identifying information in a phone book. I mean, can you imagine that? Can you imagine just letting anyone in the world look up exactly where you live? What could possibly go wrong? Well, one thing is a robot could come back in time and kill you. Probably also the most likely thing. Maybe there are other kinds of murders that are more likely than that, but I don't think so. I think time-traveling robot is probably the top one. Second thing I learned, haircuts were kind of dicey in the 80s. Now, the Terminator, I guess he had like skin over the robot shell. Again, I was assembling a desk for the second half of this. I kind of zoned out. But he had hair. Like at the first part, he had kind of a goofy haircut like he did in Hercules. I have not seen Hercules with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I saw a 3-minute clip of Hercules with Schwarzenegger, so I feel like I got the rundown of that whole movie. And somewhere in the middle of it, I know I saw him sitting in front of a mirror. I thought he was taking out a bullet, but maybe he gave himself a haircut too. Second half of the movie, though, he has a buzz cut. Very appropriate for the phone book killer, which ultimately would have been a great alternate title for that movie. But, you know, the phone book lobby had that quashed. And we had phone books up until the 2000s. And again, no idea how any of us survived. Other great things about the movie, Sarah Connor meets the dad of the future revolution leader, maybe John Connor. I don't know, I'm not great with names. But the dad who she meets and has a baby with, like, she knows this guy for all of 2 hours. You kind of feel bad for Sarah Connor. That this is the longest relationship of her life. At the same time, we live in the Tinder age now. Like now, 2 hours would be like a long-term relationship. So good for you, Sarah Connor. There were unexpected nipples in this movie. Did not see that coming out of nowhere while assembling this IKEA dresser. Or I think I said desk. I don't know. I'm all frazzled now because there were nipples. Who saw that coming? Then at the end, the Terminator gets crushed by a machine. He's just like, the end is great because they kill the Terminator like 6 times. He just keeps coming back. And the first time it's surprising. It's like, oh, I guess he's not dead. Like the 15th time he comes back from the dead and tries to kill him, it's like, you probably should have seen that coming. It's kind of what he does. He's the Terminator. He's not the give up and quitinator, which coincidentally would be a great alternative movie. That would be my autobiography. The guy who encounters the slightest bit of resistance and just stops. Like, you know what? We're not going back in time to kill anybody today. There were a lot of police officers killed in that movie. They get Sarah Connor into the police station, and they're like, don't worry, we'll protect you. And the Terminator goes through and kills all the police officers there. And apparently that's all the police officers in Los Angeles, because after that, they're like driving down the street, shooting guns, blowing up trucks, and there are no sirens. I guess the cops just called it a day. Because I guess when you get one precinct massacred by a time-traveling robot, you know what? Maybe it's not worth going after him. Maybe sometimes you let the bad guy get away. So, all in all, a pretty good movie. It was not as good as Terminator 2, because Terminator 2 had that liquid robot who was like the creepiest villain of all time. Especially the part where he like killed the dog and then he's talking in the mom's voice. Oh, by the way, spoilers. I've spoiled like everything in this movie. But hey, the Terminator came out in 1984. That was a year before I was born. So I feel like if you haven't watched it by now, that's on you. Terminator 2 came out a period of years later. I don't know. I could have looked it up. I could have done the slightest bit of research, but I did not. Because I was just so excited about getting on here and talking about the Terminator. 2 full days after I watched it. So, okay, maybe I wasn't that excited. Other good news, the desk was pretty solid. I managed to get it together with some major assistance from my wife, so there's that. This is probably the last video I'm going to shoot in this office. You can say goodbye to this nice, lovely private space, because I'm going out there surrounded by kids and pigs. Why? That's where Lola said I was going. I agreed to it. Mistakes were made. It's going to happen. There might be one more video I post that I already recorded in here. The kids tell ghost stories. I'm not really sure how I'll edit that one together. They seem to think this house is haunted, which is not great. I'd rather they not be scared of this house, because then that just creates more work for me. But one thing this house does not have is Terminators, because we are not in the phone book, because we live in a sensible society where we have taken precautions against robots that might come back in time and try to look us up based on our first and last name and approximate city of origin. So let's just all be thankful for that. When you see that phone book tossed up on your front porch, just remember, that phone book guy is trying to get you killed. That is the real way that Skynet takes over. Anyway, that's all I've got for now. Stay tuned for future videos where I have hot takes on movies that people saw literally 30 years ago. Thank you.